Today, I will join you in seeking the answer to a profound question. Could it be that only by cultivating the heart and transforming the inner self can we truly change destiny, not only our own, but also that of our family, our lineage, and even the wider community? Have you ever wondered why some are born into hardship yet gradually rise and transform their lives, while others, once wealthy, eventually decline into loneliness and ruin? In the same circumstances, some find peace, while others are filled with resentment. The answer lies in something few pay attention to: the mind. The mind is the root, the beginning of every change in life. In Buddhism, it is said, all phenomena are created by the mind. Whether joy or suffering, all arise from the heart. In other words, the outer life is merely a reflection of the inner world. The ancients also said, form follows the mind, circumstances change with the heart. One's face, aura, speech, and even fate itself are all influenced by the state of the heart. A person with a kind mind has bright eyes and a gentle smile. One filled with jealousy and deceit, no matter how well adorned, reveals an insincere, sinister look to those with discerning eyes. This is not superstition. It is the genuine energy radiating from within. That energy silently shapes life. Whom you meet, whether you encounter opportunities or obstacles, what you keep and what you lose. All of it begins with the thoughts that arise in your mind each day. If we observe carefully, we see that honest, good-hearted people are often loved. They may lack cunning or schemes, but because they live with sincerity, they attract good people and receive help in times of need. On the other hand, those who constantly think ill of others and place selfish gain above all else often find themselves isolated, suspicious, and beset with difficulties they cannot explain. Thus, to change destiny, do not rush to seek outwardly, turn inward. The heart is the root, fate is the branch. A wholesome root produces blossoms and fruit. A rotten root, no matter how much is nurtured outside, cannot sustain a flourishing tree. Some lament, why do I work so hard yet remain poor? But they fail to notice the resentment, envy, selfishness, and pettiness still lodged within. These may not be visible like actions, but they form a dark cloud that blocks fortune. The sun always shines, but if the sky is shrouded in heavy clouds, its light cannot penetrate. To brighten fate, one must first cleanse the mind, release negativity, correct what is wrong, and live kindly toward oneself and others. Then, naturally, the light will shine through. Cultivating the mind is not abstract or luxurious. It is the most practical way to change destiny. We cannot alter heaven and earth, but we can change our outlook, our way of living, and from that, the outcome itself. When the heart is corrected, when one lives kindly, forgivingly, and sincerely, miracles occur. Good people appear, work becomes smoother, the heart finds peace, and life follows suit. Destiny is not somewhere far away. It lies in each thought, word, and deed of today. Looking back at life's turning points, we see that sometimes, just by shifting our mindset and attitude, everything around us begins to change. When we lived in resentment, we often complained of life's unfairness and envied others' fortune. But one day, we decide to stop complaining, stop blaming, and instead quietly do what is right. Soon after, good things begin to appear. Someone ready to help, a new opportunity, or simply the return of peace within. The mind is the engine of fate. When the heart changes, our view of life also changes. Once, with anger in the heart, everything seemed wrong, and everywhere felt intolerable. But when the heart is calm, those same irritations become easier to understand. Strangely, when we are easier within ourselves, those around us also treat us more kindly. This is no coincidence. It is life's natural reflection. Just as when you smile at the mirror, the reflection smiles back. Change the heart, and destiny follows. I once knew a man who worked tirelessly, yet his life was always troubled. Failure followed failure, family strife, and mounting debt. At times, he cursed heaven and wanted to abandon everything. But after listening to a Dharma talk on karma and cultivating the mind, he chose to change. No more cursing when frustrated, No more cheating to escape debt, but instead living truthfully, patiently, and kindly day by day. Within a year, he found stable work, his family became more harmonious, and his health improved. He said, "I did not beg for luck. I simply changed myself, and fortune came." That story reminds us of a simple yet profound truth. To change your life, first change your heart. Life cannot bloom if the heart remains dark. You can change jobs, move houses, even alter your appearance. But if the heart clings to anger, envy, and selfishness, all blessings are fleeting. Conversely, if the heart shines bright, no matter where you are or what you do, you can transform that situation into a blessing. Those who cultivate the heart quietly often live peaceful lives and earn respect. If life is filled with difficulties and misfortune, instead of blaming others or fate, ask yourself, is my heart at peace? Am I living true to conscience? Am I sowing seeds of kindness each day? A single seed of repentance, a single thought letting go of greed, anger, and delusion is enough to turn the course of destiny. Step by step, life will blossom from within. All of us have faced life's dead ends, but often these walls are not destiny's decree. They are locks we place on ourselves. Just one spark of light, one sincere kind thought is enough to guide us out. A person with a clear heart, pure, uncalculating, harmless, and free of attachments, may be poor in wealth, but rich in character, beset by struggles, yet accompanied by benefactors. And eventually, they will always find a path through hardship. The Buddha taught, to know the causes of past lives, look at the effects of this life. To know the fruits of future lives, look at the seeds you are planting now. A bright-hearted person sows virtue daily, speaking honestly, working without selfish motives, living kindly even when unseen. Such people may not begin wealthy or prominent, but their destiny steadily rises. Heaven does not abandon those with virtue. Karma never neglects a good deed. Like a tree planted with love and patience, it may grow slowly, but its roots anchor deep, and in time it bears abundant, lasting fruit. Those who cultivate the heart do not transform their lives overnight like magic, but their change is enduring, and it radiates outward to all around them. I recall an old story of Li Nian, a poor man during the Tang Dynasty. As a child, he worked as a laborer, lived simply, and was especially filial to his mother. Though impoverished, he never complained, always remained upright and respectful. One day, he found a bag of gold dropped in the market. Without hesitation, he returned it to its owner, refusing any reward. The tale spread far and wide, reaching officials and eventually the court. Admiring his honesty and virtue, they recommended him to office. Li Nian later rose in rank and left a lasting legacy of honor. His destiny changed not by luck, but by the radiance of a pure heart, sustained by honesty and filial piety, even in poverty. In Buddhist teachings, there is a story about a beggar who changed his destiny by cultivating his heart. Each day, while begging for alms, he always shared part of his bread with stray dogs or those hungrier than himself. People mocked him, saying he was foolish, already poor, yet pretending to be compassionate. One day, the king of the city disguised himself and went out among the people. He happened to meet the beggar and witnessed his kindness. The king invited him to the palace, rewarded him generously, and appointed him as the keeper of the royal granary, saying, "Only those who can preserve compassion in poverty will not be corrupted by wealth." That was clear proof. When the heart is pure, destiny naturally changes. Miracles do not come from outside, but from within. When the heart is sincere, free of anger and resentment, it is like clear water reflecting the blue sky, attracting light. Then, goodness will gradually find its way to us, not because we beg for it, but because we deserve it. More importantly, when the heart is bright, we do not only transform our own fate, but also spread warmth to those around us, bringing harmony to the family, trust among colleagues, and affection from friends. That is a value far beyond material wealth. In this noisy and chaotic world, many believe happiness comes from external things: a grand house, large savings, a prestigious career, or an ideal partner. Yet, many who have all these still fall into loneliness, fatigue, anxiety, even emptiness. On the other hand, there are those who live simply, without financial abundance, yet their eyes remain gentle and their smiles full of contentment. The difference lies here. A calm heart makes life peaceful. A bright heart makes life joyful. To cultivate the heart is to turn inward, to train our thoughts, perceptions, and way of living. Then, we can release invisible burdens, comparison, envy, greed, anger. When no longer bound by negative emotions, true happiness from within appears. This is a deep happiness, not noisy, not flashy, like a hidden well in the desert, quietly nourishing, enduring, and hard to exhaust. A friend of mine once faced a great crisis. He lost his job, divorced, and was left with nothing. At times, he wanted to end it all. But instead of clinging to external supports, he turned inward to train himself. He read good books, practiced meditation, did good deeds daily, without blame, without anger. After some time, his heart became calm, his face brighter, and he said, "Now I fear nothing. I know I am no longer a victim of circumstances, but a conscious being." Miracles followed. He met his ex-wife again during a charity event, and they rekindled their bond. He found a new job, not as highly paid, but one that brought him happiness every day. Happiness is not a chase. The more we run after it, the more exhausted we become. If we stop and nurture the heart, happiness reveals itself in each breath, each meal, each conversation. Those who cultivate the heart do not wait for good circumstances to feel joy. They actively create joy from within. As the ancients said, "He who knows contentment is always happy." If your heart feels moved right now, don't let this moment pass. Hold on to it or share it with someone who may need to hear it. Sometimes a gentle reminder, turn inward, can help someone through their storm. If you find these words sincere and worth reflecting on, let us together nurture a kind heart and live more deeply each day. In life, there are people we call lucky. Everything seems to go smoothly for them. But most of their fortune is not random. They often live sincerely, with kindness, without schemes or harm, without ill will. Luck is the natural outcome of persistent cultivation of the heart. Think back. Perhaps you once helped someone, and later, when you faced hardship, another person, sometimes a complete stranger, appeared to help you. That is not coincidence, but the response of cause and effect. Those who cultivate their hearts quietly plant good seeds. Sincere words, kind actions, compassionate thoughts. These seeds may not sprout immediately, but in time, they blossom into unexpected opportunities, timely helpers, or what appears to be good luck. Buddha taught, those who sow good seeds will reap good fruits. If not in this life, then surely in the next. This law is silent yet just. Honest people who do not deceive or trample others may advance slower at first, but over time they stand firm, suffer fewer risks, and endure fewer losses. Living with a calm heart, they naturally attract good. Some call it the law of attraction. Some call it energy. Buddhism calls it karma and retribution. Whatever the name, they all point to one truth: the heart shapes destiny. I once heard of a woman who sold vegetables in the countryside. She had little education and only stayed at the market corner, but she lived with integrity. Those in hardship could buy on credit. If someone cheated her, she did not complain. After many years, she remained poor but never miserable. Her children were filial. Neighbors respected her. One day, she fell gravely ill. Within a week, the whole village gathered donations for her surgery. Even debtors of 10 years came with money and apologies. With tears, she said, "I never thought myself lucky, but now I see my life was not lived in vain." To cultivate the heart is to store blessings for stormy days, and when storms come, heaven does not abandon them. So, if your life feels difficult, don't despair. Keep living kindly. Keep planting good, even the smallest acts. One day, opportunities will come, helpers will appear, and joy will return. Then you'll realize, luck is not something to fight for. It comes naturally to those who are worthy. In modern society, wealth is often measured by money, property, cars, stocks. But if you look deeper, there is another form of wealth far more precious: the wealth of a moral heart. Wealth from kindness, from healthy relationships, from trust, and from accumulated virtue. Those who cultivate their hearts and become wealthy are wealthy in a lasting, peaceful way. On the other hand, those who gain wealth only by grasping and deceiving often lose it quickly, or live in fear, mistrust, and isolation. Do the immorally rich truly live happily? They may have possessions and power, but live in suspicion, fearing betrayal, revenge, wayward children, or illnesses caused by their own actions. They cannot trust anyone, lose sleep constantly, and forget simple joys. That is the price of wealth without virtue. Meanwhile, those who cultivate their hearts and become wealthy do so by keeping integrity, sharing, and living honestly. Their assets are the fruit of trust, real effort, and genuine goodwill. This wealth is solid like a mountain, not fragile like a bubble. Buddha once said, "True wealth is that which is earned through one's life, sweat, and merit. Riches gained by deception, cruelty, or theft are but borrowed. They must be repaid eventually, in another form." In contrast, riches gained through virtue and kindness are like fertile fields. The more seeds sown, the more abundant the harvests to come. Those who cultivate their hearts and create merit are quietly planting for future enduring wealth. I once met an elderly entrepreneur whose assets reached into hundreds of billions. He had gone bankrupt in his 50s, seemingly ruined. Yet within 3 years, he rebuilt everything. When I asked his secret, he smiled gently. "I have no secret, only that I lived upright since youth. When I fell, those I once helped came to me, offering jobs, projects, loans without interest." In his simple words lay a lifetime of cultivation, merit, and sincere living. Destiny may shift, but those who keep a kind heart will always rise again, for their blessings remain intact. The wealth of a cultivated heart is not only money. It is wealth in true friends, in others' trust, in inner peace. It is wealth in knowing enough, being grateful, and willing to share. This is wealth no one can steal, that time cannot erode. Strangely, those who do not chase wealth often find it flows naturally to them, because they are worthy. If you are building your life's path, begin with cultivating the heart. Do not only learn how to make money, learn how to preserve virtue. Do not only focus on financial investment. Invest in character and way of living. Perhaps you will not change your life overnight, but one small awakening today can be the turning point for your future. In the same family, why are some people successful while others struggle? Why do some clans prosper for generations while others remain in hardship no matter the era? The answer does not lie only in education or wealth, but deeper, in the mind and virtue that each member of the lineage has cultivated. A person who cultivates their heart does not only reap peace for themselves, but also paves a bright path for their descendants. When one person's heart is pure, the household gradually clears away resentment. When that person practices self-cultivation, the whole family benefits. Buddhism teaches, when one person does good, thousands receive blessings. When one person does evil, thousands suffer misfortune. This is not superstition, but the law of cause and effect revealed over time. Families with kind, honest parents who avoid strife often raise children who are polite, teachable, and blessed with smooth lives. On the contrary, if a household has someone deceitful, malicious, and lacking virtue, then no matter how talented the children are, peace will be difficult to sustain. I once met an elderly woman over 80, living simply in the countryside, yet all her children and grandchildren were accomplished. Some doctors, some teachers, some entrepreneurs. All were kind and filial. When I asked her secret, she smiled. "I don't know any lofty teachings. I just live kindly. Don't fight, don't speak ill of anyone. Whatever I have, I share with the neighbors. Blessings come because heaven sees the heart." Her words were as light as the wind, yet contained a lifetime of cultivating the heart and accumulating virtue, building a foundation for her descendants to rise by blessings rather than tears. You may not believe in changing destiny through self-cultivation, but it is hard to deny that children raised in families where parents live with virtue and mindfulness are early planted with seeds of love, kindness, and wisdom. Those seeds, when the time is right, will sprout, helping them avoid wrongdoing, resist temptation, and live responsibly. That is the most precious legacy parents can leave their children, more than gold or property. If you are a parent or simply a member of a family, remember, self-cultivation is not only for yourself. Each time you practice patience, let go, and live more kindly, you are paving the way for your descendants. Virtue can be passed on through generations, and likewise, hatred and evil can also spread across lifetimes like a smoldering fire. There is one question worth pondering. Who do you live for? At some point, you may think you live only for yourself, to enjoy, to satisfy desires, to escape suffering, to prove yourself. But the longer you live, the more you realize that each of us carries responsibility for our family, ancestors, and the generations to come. When you understand that, you see why self-cultivation is the greatest way to transform destiny, not only for yourself, but for the entire bloodline you carry. The ancients said, when one person attains the way, 9 generations of ancestors ascend to heaven. It sounds mystical, but in everyday meaning, it is the power of one who knows how to transform themselves. When one person chooses to refine their character, live kindly, and stay upright, even if life remains lacking in material things, the righteous energy from that person gradually purifies the resentment in the family. That person becomes the lamp that illuminates the home. Slowly, in that household, conflicts diminish, words become gentler, children grow respectful, and fortune, like a fresh breeze, arrives little by little. I once witnessed a family with a tradition of harsh living. From the grandfather's time to the fathers, they were hot-tempered, drank heavily, spoke harshly, and disrespected women. In the 3rd generation, one son resolved to change. He refused alcohol, refrained from swearing, loved his wife and children, cared for his aging parents, and practiced meditation and Buddhism. At first, his family mocked him as weak and losing his roots, but he quietly lived by his ideals. 10 years later, a miracle happened. His father softened, began speaking gently, even joined him in vegetarian meals several times a month. His younger brother abandoned his reckless ways. His children grew obedient, excelled in school, and stayed clear of trouble. Villagers called him the one who turned the tide, not turning to betray his roots, but to heal a toxic stream flowing for generations. He changed his family's fate, not with money, but with virtue. I believe that within each of us, we can be that tide turner. You don't need rank or status to influence. Simply cultivate your heart, live kindly, speak gently, restrain anger, treat loved ones with compassion, and guard your mind against greed, hatred, and delusion. You are already planting a new seed in your lineage, the seed of blessings. In Buddhism, there is the concept of collective karma, a group of people sharing karmic outcomes. Family is one form of collective karma. If a household has someone who often commits evil, speaks harsh words, and harbors malice, that dark energy will overshadow the entire family, leading to illness, misfortune, and repeated tragedies through generations. But if a household has even one person who practices kindness, recites sutras, observes precepts, and lives with love, that person creates a new energy field, one of peace, clarity, and lightness. Gradually, the old karmic forces weaken and fortune transforms. I once heard about a small village in the northern mountains. In the past, it was plagued by vices and poverty. Then an old monk came to live in a simple hut at the village entrance. He didn't speak much. He chanted daily, swept the yard, grew vegetables, and occasionally helped the villagers. Gradually, people noticed. Some came to learn meditation. Others adopted his simple way of life. After 5 years, the village had a free community school, Children greeted their elders, and the youth abandoned gambling. After 10 years, the village became a place many came to learn from. All of it began with one person's self-cultivation, one light strong enough to awaken an entire community. One person can indeed open fortune for hundreds. You may be carrying deep wounds from your family, parents who argue, siblings in conflict, unfilial children, or a lineage with misguided traditions. But you can still be the one to change it. Start by not blaming anymore. Start by transforming yourself. Don't rush to fix others. Heal yourself first. When your aura changes, when your words carry love, when your eyes see others with compassion instead of judgment, even without saying much, you are planting seeds of goodness in your family space. Destiny is not fixed. It is a flow that can change direction if someone has enough patience and compassion to be the dam that turns the stream. Transformation of destiny comes quietly, without fireworks or fanfare. It comes from small changes. One day, you don't lash out when insulted. One meal, you smile instead of criticize. One night, you meditate instead of scrolling your phone in distraction. Then one day, you look back and see your family has changed. Fewer illnesses, a lighter atmosphere. Children progressing, and unexpected blessings arriving. At that moment, you will understand the greatest gift you have ever given your lineage is cultivating your heart. If one person's cultivation of the heart can change the destiny of themselves and their family, imagine this. In a community where hundreds or thousands of people keep their minds pure and compassionate, what would that society look like? When each person chooses to live kindly and uphold integrity, that society will have less deceit, less hatred, less indifference, and less fear. A good society is not built by perfect people, but by ordinary people who strive each day to live with morality. There are times I hear many lament, the world is too chaotic. Good people suffer while the wicked rise. What's the use of being kind? Such words come from lost faith. But I ask myself, if everyone believes that goodness only brings loss, then who will rekindle the flame of conscience? If in a storm no one keeps the fire, then all will sink into coldness. History proves this. The hardest times are when morality is most needed. In times of turmoil, those who cultivate their hearts become the spiritual pillars others lean on. They don't need to do great things. Just keeping their hearts clean, their words kind, and their actions right is enough to ignite change. I recall once visiting a poor village in central Vietnam, where theft was rampant because of hunger. The authorities had tried many strict measures but failed. Then a man named Lam, once a small market vendor, asked to open a free vocational class for unemployed youth. He didn't have much money, but he had heart and compassion. Patiently, he went door to door, persuading with sincerity. After some time, the young people abandoned theft and joined his classes. Villagers began to trust each other again. 2 years later, the crime rate was nearly zero. When I asked Lam, "How did you achieve what even the authorities couldn't?" he smiled gently. "I don't preach morality with words. I just live sincerely. When I live with integrity, people see that integrity is valuable, and they follow." That is the power of one person cultivating the heart amidst life. Not loud, not preaching, but inspiring through genuine kindness. If each of us were willing to be such a small light, the brightness would multiply bit by bit. When a seller avoids dishonesty, a driver refrains from pushing, a worker stops being lazy, a manager avoids arrogance, society naturally becomes more civilized. No need for grand slogans, no need for massive reforms, just individuals reforming themselves, and society will transform from the roots. So I want to say to those who feel powerless or lonely in living kindly, you are not alone. There are millions like you, silently cultivating their hearts each day. Each one is a good seed sown into the field of life. Perhaps tomorrow you won't see results yet, but in time, society will blossom from what you plant today. We have traveled a journey, not of theories or lofty doctrines, but a journey of returning to ourselves. where each person pauses to reflect inwardly and ask, how is my heart? How am I living? What am I guiding my life with? The answers, if we truly listen, reveal this truth. Lasting change outside only begins with change inside. Cultivating the heart is not distant. It doesn't require meditating in the mountains, eating austerely, or preaching doctrines. It is when you step back to avoid anger at your loved ones, when you speak a kind word to someone in pain, when you stop yourself just in time from committing a wrong. Each day of heart cultivation is a day you are changing your destiny. Not changing it by begging for wealth or luck, but by changing your outlook, your energy, your future, and your family's future. Those who cultivate their hearts don't seek miracles, for they themselves are the miracle. In a society full of competition, wounds, and struggles, one person who preserves purity, honesty, steadfastness, and love in their heart, that person becomes light, becomes the moral anchor for their family, community, and the future. Destiny does not lie in horoscopes or a fortune teller's palm, but in every small choice made each day. Choosing good over evil, silence over quarrel, helping over neglect, gratitude over resentment. Choosing to live with heart is choosing a path that may not be easy, but will lead you to peace, kindness, and lasting fulfillment. If you are standing at life's many crossroads, follow the light within. That is where you will never lose your way. If you have read this far, I believe there is already a seed of goodness in you. Nurture it. For when the heart changes, life, and even your whole lineage, changes with it. Changes in peace, in joy, and in dignity. Thank you for walking with me until the very end. Amid the busyness of life, your choice to spend time listening to reflections on morality, compassion, and cause and effect is precious. I believe each reader of these words carries within them a good seed. Nurture it so your heart stays steady, your soul stays bright, and your destiny turns toward beauty. May you always live peacefully, kindly, and with enough mindfulness to walk steadily through the many challenges of life.